Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mitch, and welcome back to another episode of Occasionally Explicit. And today, for the first time in its history, we have a guest. I know it's been so tough to do that because nobody actually comes and stays for the time that we need them to be. But here we have someone I met on my trip to Iceland, Ava. She's
Hello.
pretty awesome, and um, yeah. So we're just gonna start it off here because there was a little bit of a difference with our trip. I went to Iceland and then Berlin, and that's where I met Ava at the Leadership Summit, which is the main
Mhm.
point of that little section of the trip. But a lot of people, including Ava's group, didn't go on the tour first. They went on the tour after the summit. So I can talk about my part of the trip and then the summit, and then after that part, when me and Ava share some thoughts about how surprisingly interesting that was, we can talk about
Mhm.
Ava's part of the trip, and then I don't know, shits and giggles after that. I don't know, some other random stuff. So it was at first, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I didn't really get the weight of the trip, and the experience itself didn't really hit me until I was on the plane leaving Pittsburgh's airport and realizing, oh, I'm going to New York, and then I'm going across the pond to a country with less than 300,000 people in it.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I mean, there was a town we visited that had like 100 people. So it was it was a different experience. And I the best way I can describe Iceland is like, I know people say it a lot when they describe a place, but it was literally breathtaking. Like you could look at some landscape out in the middle of nowhere, and it's pretty awesome. And you can keep turning around, and you basically have this 360-degree view of all these beautiful mountains and the scenery that was so captivating, like unlike anything I'd ever seen. And that was definitely the best part of the trip for my group. And then we got to Berlin, and the most interesting part there was the public transportation. It was much more fleshed out than in America, where we just have cars and everybody drives everywhere on their own and gets in crashes and flips people off and honks the horns all over the
Yeah.
place. And
Yeah.
it was really well executed there. And I actually searched up the statistic. It's like less than 40% of people in Europe have a car. So most people do use the public transportation. And
A lot of people were biking. It was
yeah,
very interesting.
like
I actually really liked that.
like there were people who, and this is like something that happens a lot, people will just bring their bikes onto the train, and then once they get off they take the bike with them and they just biked where they need to go. I thought that was really interesting. And I also thought about how America used to be like the king with trains and the transcontinental railroad. We had that a lot, and that was our big thing back in like the 1900s. But then as uh our boy Ford, Henry Ford, was like, let's just make smaller versions of that. Then we kind of just went away from trains to the point where we actually tore up a lot of our tracks. Um, the Montour Trail, which is actually close to where I live, goes from DC down to wherever. That used to all be train track, and now it's just a trail. It's gravel. So it's kind of crazy how we so quickly switch from trains to just, that happens sometimes, from trains to just everybody having cars. And then we go to Europe and it's the exact opposite. Like, not very many people drive. There were still cars, obviously, but it wasn't nearly as widespread there. And I think it's also because Europeans are better than Americans in a lot of ways. They have some
Well,
negative things as well, but in terms of like their carbon footprint, they've definitely acknowledged solutions to it more than we have. We've kind of just decided to trust Elon Musk and Jeffrey Bezos and making our world better, and then Elon's trying to go to space instead of trying to fix the planet we have. But I don't know. It's just
I mean, you gotta keep in mind we were also at least I was mostly in city centers, so you're gonna see more biking.
yeah.
I honestly, if I ever go back to Germany, or Europe in general, I want to go to the suburbs to see how different it is. Because I feel like a lot of us live in the suburbs. We don't live in the city, so it's would be more relatable, at least to see as far as transportation goes in the
It would be
suburbs.
more comparable there because it would
Hmm.
be smaller scale. Yeah. Um, but that was probably the most interesting thing that happened in Berlin. I don't remember much else of what happened. There was a lot of Berlin Wall and Nazi Germany history that we did, and
Hmm.
I understood the value of that, and there were some interesting parts, but most of it we kind of already learned in high school and are learning in high school. So it was kind of just like a refresher course for me personally. So it wasn't as interesting, but the tour guide that we had for part of it, she was Australian. She was actually pretty funny, and she showed us this parking lot that under it used to be Hitler's like bunker or wherever where he and his wife died. They what's the right word I'm looking for? They immortalized him by just making this parking lot, covering up burying the entire bunker and just having a parking lot in this. It just looks like there's not even any signs to say that it was like this used to be where Hitler hid. It was just people just didn't want to respect him anymore. So that was kind of interesting. But then the most interesting part of Berlin, besides the train, was definitely the summit. I was expecting it to be super boring, and I don't know what anybody else's expectations of it were, but it just seemed like in my mind I was just imagining us all sitting in this big conference room and these people talking. When they said world leaders, I thought they were just going to have world leaders talking up there. I didn't really know what it entailed, so when people started talking about like I don't know, like presenting stuff and projects, I was like, I didn't read that much, so I don't know what's actually happening. But I mean, what were your expectations? Like what did you think was going to happen when you showed up there?
Specifically for the summit, I was kind of scared that I was mostly nervous about the project we had to do because I had a friend that went on the exact same, like she went to the same summit and the year before, and she was talking about how they had to come up with a project, like the innovation sessions and everything. So I already knew about that, but I was like, I have never been really taught to think creatively like that in such a short period of time. Like if I'm given a project, I'm normally given like a few weeks, and so I test different ideas and try it out. And they said we could do that, but it never felt like we had time
Yeah,
to
I mean,
do that.
for reference, we had like maybe 48 hours at the summit, and that there was what were called innovation sessions, where basically we were tackling these three pillars of water, economy, access, and environment, and trying to improve one of those or optimize one of those with a product that you would present twice, present it once in your room, and then if you made it to the top 10, present it in front of the whole summit of 1,000 or so people. But the innovation sessions were maybe like an hour or two at most, and then after that there was a lot of filler stuff with different speakers and different
Mm.
other activities that weren't really related. Like some of them were related, like the speakers had some interesting things that they talked about that actually resonated with Ava and some resonated with me. um, but for the most part it was kind of just they were talking about other stuff that wasn't directly related to the topic of the summit. So then we had actually very little time in total to do this project, and we had a
Yeah.
lot of different ideas during our innovation sessions with our group of 8 people. Um, but then we actually pulled it together really quick. So I wasn't expecting it to wrap up so effectively. Like we had this big idea of this whole system that would desalinate water, like salt water at the coast, and then it would make that into clean drinking water for coastal communities that have to do that manually. And it would be cost effective because it would be made with inexpensive materials and so on and so forth. And I mean, Ava can testify to this. We didn't think we were going to get all that done in the time that we had, but we
No.
actually got it. We sped it up somehow and just got finished in time. And even with the pitches, which were a max of 60 seconds, we even managed to fit it within 60 seconds, everything that I had to explain, because there was like 30 seconds roughly of making you empathize with the user, and then the 30 seconds of explaining, which like we tried it a couple times before and it was like over a minute, but then we somehow trimmed it and set it exactly right to get it under 60 seconds. And we even got our nice little our motto in for aqua for you. It's a play on
Aqua
aquifer.
to you, for you.
Yes, because it was a play
That was
on
fun.
aquifer. So that was like probably the it was like really, it was almost like it was stressful when we were thinking about having to present. And then I kind of got into my YouTuber zone and just realized, okay, whether or not we win this, we just got to lock in. We just got to focus,
Yeah.
and we actually did very well. And I was very proud of everybody in the group and everybody in our room. Like everybody had great ideas, and I was surprised because I didn't really hear anything that they were doing. So when they got up in front of all of us, I didn't really know what they were making, but everybody was very confident. And I think it was actually a very good way to build confidence in teenagers with the public speaking aspect and the presentation part that we'll have to do as adults eventually when a job
Hmm.
requires it or college or whatever. But unfortunately, we did not win. The rooms, like judges, did not vote us to the top 10, but I mean, the ones who did, their product was very, very unique, and I think it deserved to be up there, and it was pretty good. But like the whole experience up until that point, like I didn't really know Ava or any of these people beforehand. Like we just got sat at a table, didn't even really pick. Like they just had a number on these little lanyards, and you just go to that table. And I actually made very good friends with everybody there, and I was grateful for the experience. And it's just crazy that it was within like 2 days, and then we were already talking about all kinds of interesting stuff and having a good time, having good conversations, and then goofing off a little bit at the silent disco, which was after the presentations. There was the top 10. By the way, there was like two or three teams up there that were from my high school. Like their members of their teams were from my high school, which I thought was pretty cool. I felt a little bit better about myself. And then there was the other group that won the whole summit and got their product in the Nobel Peace Museum for a year, which was the reward. I thought that was pretty cool. Was from another group that met up with us in Berlin that was traveling with the same agency, and everybody was super excited for them. It was overall that was not like it's exceeded my expectations by a lot. It was like school, but you weren't really being graded. You were just kind of in an like it was like an arts and crafts class mixed in with some very insightful talks from people of all ages who have experience in the real world. And then the silent disco came around, where basically they shoved us all into a room with some strobe lights and some headphones, and we just danced our asses off. But the best part about it was that when you were in there, if you didn't have headphones on, it was just a bunch of kids screaming lyrics to songs, because there was like three different channels, and there was like varying levels of quality in the music. But that it was just so bizarre, because if any, like including us, we recorded a lot of the silent disco, and it would just be kids screaming like three different songs all over the place. And there was one where we did the Macarena, and it was just like for a top down view of all of us, and you couldn't hear the Macarena, but you assumed that we were listening to it. So
It was so sad.
it was like as soon as you realize that for a second, you're like, oh, so this is like one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had, but also it's not bad. It was a different kind of disco. Not that I've been to a regular disco, but it was the silent disco wasn't it was for a bit we were wondering like when it was going to happen, because it was supposed to happen at
Mhm.
like 7:40 or 8, and we were sitting in the cafeteria or concert eating area, and then they finally said, all right, go through that door all the way back there and turn right. And then there was just uh, it was pretty fun. I don't know. And then I said goodbye to Ava and her friends that I met, and then we flew out in the morning. Well, we flew out at 12 because for some reason we had to get there 4 hours early. um,
Yeah.
and then I got back by 1 on my birthday, actually, so that was kind of cool. And then I slept until like 12 or 1 in the afternoon, and
Mhm.
probably one of the best sleeps of my life. And then Ava and her group went to Hamburg and some other places in Germany, and I didn't really get the full story of everything that happened. So what do you think? Like, you could talk in order, and you could also bring up some significant stuff that you thought was more interesting than usual from your tour.
Yes. So, by the way, if you hear me sniffling, that's because allergies. And also, I think I got sick on the trip in the middle of it, which was very unfortunate. But by the way, I am from Virginia. I am not living in Pennsylvania. I'm from Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to start in order. So when we first got to Berlin, that was an interesting experience because we went from 8 hours of flying straight into a full day of touring in Berlin. So we were up for, I think my group calculated like 32 hours
Ooh.
because I cannot sleep on the plane. I was so excited to go, I could not sleep. And I think I actually slept maybe like 5 minutes and that was it. But I ended up, because we had some free time right before dinner, and I ended up falling asleep on a park bench for like 90 minutes. And so that was fun. And then we toured Potsdam a little bit right before going to the summit, in which everybody got soaked because it rained so hard and nobody brought an umbrella. So everyone was soaked, which was actually it was terrible in the moment, but when you think back, it's like, dang, I got rained on so hard in Potsdam.
That was
That was
that was in
amazing.
the morning, right? Because I think
Yeah.
that was that was the morning when my group there was the option to do a bike tour for 2 hours, and I was
And
like,
this dude went running. He went running,
yeah,
guys.
it was 30 euros, and I was like, no, thank you. That's a pretty penny, so I don't want to do that. So instead, I asked my tour leader if I could do some running around the area we were at this mall, this shopping center, because I run cross country, if for those of you who don't know, and I had not run for like 8 days, and I was really hoping not to have to condition myself all over again. And I ran like a couple miles before I got really hungry and decided to go look for food and got Dunkin' Donuts and watched some of the other group uh, members just buying watches. So that was kind of fun. Like genuinely looking at watches and seeing like quartz or whatever
Bruh.
mechanisms in it. And I thought that was something I don't usually see in Pittsburgh with my friends. So that was up until that point, I didn't really get to know them that well, but that was pretty fun. But
Yeah.
it rained in Potsdam, and then
Oh, okay. And then it was the summit in which I've met Mitchell and our group first. And that was actually really interesting though, because I didn't know we were meeting different people. I thought it was just separated in our group. I didn't know we were meeting all these different people.
yeah,
And everybody in our group, except maybe two people, were from a different state. And then we had one girl from Bavaria, which is like southern Germany, more traditional. Yeah, somewhere south of where we were. And which was interesting because she had never met people from America before. So it was interesting talking to her and comparing lifestyles.
yeah, we brought up some
And
American delicacies like Oreo or deep fried Oreos,
oh my
and then
God.
she was like, "That is so disgusting. Please."
And funnel cake.
Yeah. Oh, funnel cake. Yeah. So there was a little bit of a cultural disconnect there, but she was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Rebecca. 'Cause that was her name. And then the second day of the summit, I was scared for the project of the summit, mostly because I felt like I wasn't smart enough to do that. Like I kind of felt out of place with that kind of stuff. And because I'm not an innovator, I know I'm not a creator. I don't want to start a business. I don't want like that's not in my area at all. So doing something like that was really interesting. It made me step out of my comfort zone and it made me realize I can do something like that. So that really helped with my confidence. And then although when you said it felt like school, it really did feel like
It
school.
was a
It
little.
was it was, it was unfortunate.
It was like deja vu almost. Like I thought school ended 2 months ago. Why are people just
Why are we
talking to
back?
us? Yeah. But
But it was better.
yeah, if regular school was like that, I feel like everybody would benefit from that. But since standardized tests and all the other outdated crap is still the norm in America, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, or at least not in our lifetime.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad, at least in America, though, we're getting like as far as colleges, they're not really putting as much emphasis on these standardized tests
Yeah.
because
It's like
if
a lot of colleges don't even look at the SAT scores anymore, which is probably good
nope,
because standardized tests are not an accurate depiction of somebody's like capability or intelligence, especially if it's a subject they're not going into in college.
literally, because the SAT, the whole point of it is to test how well your college grades are going to be when you're in college. How are you going to figure that out? Literally, like if you're taking this test 2 years before you go into college, and because grades are all about work ethic, how hard you work.
Yeah.
So how is one test going to predict 4 years or more of your grades? That never made sense to me, but
Yeah, it
um
doesn't really
I
make
have
any
really strong
sense.
opinions on this. We're not going to get into that because I will be talking for hours. But anyway, back to the summit. Um, we did the innovation session. The workshops were very interesting. I think we did different workshops. The only one we did together was the Big Blue and You one, right? Where it was about plastic in the ocean.
Yeah. Yes.
And then the other one I did was called Nature Minded, which was with a wonderful little meditation, which I still think about because it was so relaxing. And
Yeah.
then
I wasn't sure about that one,
um
but it sounded fun. So I kind of wish I did that over the VR one, which we didn't even do VR. We just like made a storyboard, and it was basically just me and this one girl sitting next to me who were working. Everybody else was just like, "You go, you got this." So
Yeah. So basically there was 5 different workshops you could pick from, and you could only pick two because you would only do one per day. So you were trying to figure out which ones you wanted to do. Because I would have, if I had the choice, I would have done all of them, but you could only pick two. And then we also had, I think it was only one brain break, which is we did karaoke, and he
oh,
did
that
a
was
wonderful performance of "Never Gonna Give You Up" by Rick Astley. That was
yeah.
amazing.
I rickrolled the entire room. I didn't know if they were like if it was random and if you wrote a song, someone would have to do it, or you. I didn't realize you could write your name and then you would perform the song. So I actually did the song, which was
Wait,
pretty
you didn't
cool.
know?
I didn't know. I was like, oh, so we're writing songs here. Okay, so then people can just choose to do it or whatever. But then they were like, oh, guys, you need to write your names. I was like, oh.
Uh-oh.
But then I think the best part wasn't even that I sung that. That was pretty cool. But then I went out and there was these two kids in my they were in my group who were really, really smart. Like Harvard smart probably, but they're like my age. So then I was talking to them and they both the whole trip they could not stop arguing with each other because they're both very they're very stubborn. So whenever one of them would say something, the other one would just argue with them. And I was like, why? Why is this what this is not worthy of an argument. Just like he didn't know that or he did know that and he said something else like, oh, but I went out and the kid Milo who was more he had some out of pocket takes that he said that got the other kid Hans riled up. Like we were talking when we were talking about public transportation, and Milo said, "But I would just like rather own a car." And then Hans was like, "Well, it's better for the environment." And Milo was like, "But the subways they're disgusting. They're not clean." I was like, "Okay, okay, Milo." I would just say, "Okay, Milo," the whole trip. But um, I came out of the karaoke room, and Milo was like, um, "I think you need some more range, man. Like you need to be able to hit the highs and the lows more." And I was
No.
like, really? Like you're not even gonna congratulate me on doing that? You're just gonna go straight into critique? Like I appreciate constructive criticism, but at some points you just gotta be like, great job, man. But
Especially because it was just for fun. Like,
yeah, it
come
wasn't
on
even like
now.
a competition. It wasn't like the winner gets blah 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 money, uh food. The winner
Yeah.
gets food for the summit. Yes, because I don't
There'd
know.
have been a lot of competition for that.
Oh, I would have won. That would have been so fun. But
Some people did really good though. It
yeah,
was really
there was
interesting.
the one girl who did Killing Me Softly with his song.
Yeah,
I
that
had
one was
never
good.
that was unbelievable. But I did that. That was fun. Um that was like one of the better brain it wasn't really a brain break. It was like I don't even know what they meant by that, but it was fun. It wasn't really a activity. It wasn't really a like session or a speaker. It was just something in between that. So I guess it was kind of a break, but not for the brain, more for the
Or for the soul
yes.
to
So
belt out lyrics. I really wanted to sing. So me and this other guy in our group named Aldo,
yeah,
shout out Aldo.
love you,
Uh,
Aldo.
we were gonna do Unwritten. Oh, me, him, and Rebecca, the girl from Bavaria. We were gonna do Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield.
Yes.
I think that's what her name is. but there was too many people to do it, and plus people were already there was apparently a group that was going to do it before us anyway, so they ended up doing it, and we just sung along with them
Yeah, they just
in the background.
they there was another group that went up there and sang it, and then I looked to my left, and they're like, "We're gonna sing it too," and they just, I mean, they probably did it better, honestly. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we were amazing.
They crushed it.
And nobody knew. Um, and then so that one was fun. Although I wish we had another one on the second day, but
That would
or
have been,
the third day,
yeah.
because I would have gone back to karaoke. I'd have been like,
That
I am doing a song.
I am writing my name up here, and I'm getting to sing first.
Exactly, because Aldo and I were late because we were in the Nature of Minded workshop right before this,
Yeah.
and then we decided to be big backs and get some cake before we came. And then
Oh,
my someone in my group, Ashley, she texted me. She's like, Mitchell's on stage, and I'm like, we need to go. And so we sprinted all the way down the hallway, and then we ended up being too late to put our names on the wall, but
mm.
it was fun.
Yeah, like
And
the whole
then,
thing was covered by the time they got in, so that they wouldn't have had
oh
enough
yeah,
time.
I'm just glad no one did like a rap song. Like the only rap part was Ashley did
The
some,
Yeah, the ludicrous
yeah,
part of "Baby" by Justin Bieber.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
that was
actually used to be my alarm, but we're not gonna talk because I hate that song now. I hate it except when it's played in like if it was played in the silent disco,
yeah.
I totally would have busted down on that song.
Yeah, there was
But
some. I was surprised by some of the songs. I didn't expect them to be in the channels for the silent disco. Like,
yeah, we're gonna talk about the silent disco in a little bit,
mhm.
but or go further into it. And then what else happened? Okay. And then we did our innovation session again, which we completely changed our idea because what was his name? Is his name Charlie? The dude who like totally like hated
It
on
was it
every
was
single
it
idea we
was
had.
it was Charlie or Christian. I didn't read his name tag anytime he came
Oh, it
over.
was Christopher. It was Christopher.
Christopher. He was
Bro
just like,
totally hated on us.
what the heck? Yeah, I don't. He was just hating on us the whole time. Like, well, not hating, but like in every other sense of the way. Like he was dissing our idea and making it more complicated for us. And then the other girl that came over, who was like basically the head speaker of the room, was like, "Hey, you at the end of the day decide what goes in and what doesn't." And I was like, "Oh."
Mhm.
And then I was just steadfast. I was like, "We don't have to listen to this guy at all. We can just do whatever we want to do, and he's not going to stop us." And then we did listen to some of his advice, but most of it was just like, we can't do that in 60 seconds. So we changed some
Yeah.
stuff around.
He just kept telling us to dig deeper and like we dug as deep as we
In
could.
60 seconds too, like we actually got more into it than I thought we could do in 60 seconds. But I rap god Eminem'd the explanation of the
Yeah.
machine, somehow got it in under 30 seconds. So I guess we dug deep enough to do it in 60 seconds.
Yeah, we did our best, and that's all that like I'm not even like mad that we didn't get chosen or anything because ours was like the people who got chosen they had very creative ideas and
Yes.
they were picked to be chosen. Ours was a really technical. Like
Yeah.
it needed at least maybe 2 minutes of actual thorough explanation
Yeah,
that
that
we
would have
couldn't give
been,
them.
yeah.
So
We, we didn't have that kind of time though. So
no.
I'm just glad that we did it.
But yeah, I'm really proud that we like because everybody locked in and everybody wanted to help, and that's why I'm glad we had no like loafers in our group.
If there was
So
just like
that
a couple
was
people who weren't working at all, we would have been screwed.
oh yeah, no, everybody did great. Um, and then what was after the innovation session? We did oh, what was it called?
Um,
We did the mm,
is it
it wasn't another
one of the workshop?
workshop.
It wasn't a workshop. Was it food?
Nah, I literally just had it in my head. Hold on a second. Let me leadership styles. That's what I was saying. Okay,
Oh
it
yeah.
was basically like a workshop, but it was more like just like a I'm gonna call it a workshop. It was another workshop. And basically where we answered a bunch of questions and each question was worth a certain amount of points
Yes.
based on how you ranked it, on how it applies to you. And then at the end you would add up all of your points from each category. And I actually have my lanyard right here. And you
I don't know if
would
I still have mine. Uh,
I made a little section on my desk for all my ES stuff. Um, And then basically, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's a table and you add up all of your points. And then at the end, you can figure out which one, like whatever's the greatest is the one that most applies to you, like that type of leadership style. For me, it was feeler. And basically, you value people's emotions a lot. You value working together as a group, communication, and you're pretty emotion. I think it basically says like you're emotionally intelligent. And
Yeah.
then I also got doer, which is basically like taking risks, not being afraid to try something
Spontaneity.
new,
Yeah. There
spontaneity.
was mainly
And then
feelers in our group, and then there was one planner, and then I was the only doer. But everybody was
yeah,
kind of
we
a
had no
mix of all of,
thinkers.
yeah, no thinkers, just doing and maybe planning a little bit. But the it wasn't like a hard and steady rule that you were like this one thing. Like there was categories in all of them that applied to all of us. Like I didn't think that one of the frustrations that doers had was rules or routines, and I'm quite fond of those things. So it's not like
Yeah,
everything in the category had to apply to you, but it was a good blueprint for how you like I knew a lot of it made sense for me. I don't really think before I do things, and usually it works out. Sometimes it doesn't, but um, it was different, and it allowed some clarity with how we needed to approach the project. Because if we were any worse off, we probably would have been struggling with that because we didn't know how to work with each other. But we actually
yeah,
worked together pretty well.
yeah. So I agree because I remember it was four feelers, two planners, one doer, which was you, and then I don't think we ever figured out what Henry was. Honestly, I
I don't
don't.
think I looked at his when he was doing it. He didn't even fill out all of the questions. Like there were some gaps in his chart, but
Yeah, so we're
he
missing a person. But anyway, um, so my two lowest, I was super low on thinking and planning, and then pretty high on doer and feeler. And if I didn't explain this, planner is basically what it sounds like, someone who organizes everything, keeps everyone in line,
basically
thinks ahead, stuff like that.
people with OCD basically.
Yeah. And so people like my mom. And then thinker is like logic. Um, they're the innovators, they're the creators. And we didn't have any one of those in our group. So we really struggled, but you know what? We did it.
We figured it
And
out.
yeah, but I like as far as so in this little table, it basically lists um it says strengths, needs, values, stuff that annoys you or frustrating for others because you're like this, or stuff that makes you happy based on your leadership style. And what Mitchell was talking about is he's does not relate to the frustrations of a doer, which is rules, deadlines, and routines.
Yeah, I'm a real
Which,
follower.
yeah, I mean, for my doer side, because I on my little lanyard I put half doer, I think half doer, and then mostly feeler. Um, I was saying that I don't like rules, deadlines, and routines if someone is forcing them upon me. I am much like I will set these for myself and I'll be just fine with that. But if someone is forcing it on me, it makes me resent them, if that's the right word, or like get very frustrated with them.
Hmm.
And as far as although routines, I can't stick to a routine. I literally can't. I mean, I do things at different times of the day all the time. The only time I stick to a routine isn't. And then with feeler, I think the frustrations were lack of communication, lying, and rejection. So I can definitely relate to lack of communication because I feel like as a society we don't communicate our feelings anymore. So
Yeah, that's kind of like
which is
it's kind
frustrating.
of like frowned upon, even though that is one of the most valuable things in a relationship is communication.
Yeah. And that was what like I've been in so many like different relationships with people, like maybe romantic relationships and friendships where it's just lack of communication and it just ruins everything. So make sure you use your words, guys.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not like especially for guys, like it's not less manly to be open about how you feel. Like you don't have to just bottle it up. I know some people who I was friends with who just spent years not telling me any of the things I was doing wrong, and then it finally all resurfaced, and yeah, that was not healthy. It's not a good idea to just keep it all inside. Like the best thing about having a partner, having a good friend is that you want to help the other person. Like that's something that usually brings people a little bit of joy, is helping somebody when they know they can and it's asked of them. But yeah, it's just like not a common thing. Even in the 21st century, we don't really, most of us don't communicate as effectively as we should, and it's not really taught. At least it's not required to be taught. Like there's some electives about psychology and like emotional intelligence and stuff, but those aren't required, and I feel like they should be. And I also feel like everybody should have a therapist. That's just something that
Mhm.
everybody needs to have, given from the government, or maybe just given from some nonprofit, because that is very important. Being able to talk to somebody else about your feelings, even if you don't have anybody else, that is, I mean, it saved my life. Like there was a, it's just, it's very useful.
Yeah. Or just, find a best friend and force them to sit down and listen to all your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Force them
So,
to listen to your venting and ranting for an hour or two.
or, find your dog and like just rant to them about stuff. But yeah, I agree. Everyone should have some type of therapist in their life. But so we learned about leadership styles, and then we also did one on public speaking, which I feel like I already knew all this stuff in that speech anyway,
Yeah.
but it was still definitely really helpful. The only thing I think I struggle with public speaking is eye contact, because I will not look at anybody. Like I won't look down. I'll just stare at the very back of the room
Yeah.
and just speak there, because if I look at anyone in front of me, my voice just starts to shake for whatever reason. It's not because I'm scared, but it's because I'm like, oh, these people are actually listening to me. Like they're actually ingesting what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that made
Oh, oopsies. Ah, guys. Oh God. Oh no. Guys, we're gonna have to cut that out. Oh my goodness. Um, give me a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Oh shit. Um, okay, we gotta call Ava. We gotta call Ava. 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 Oh my God, I don't have him in recents. Okay. Ava. Hey.
What happened?
Okay, so I guess that there was a limit on the time for the Zoom meeting, and I didn't see it until it just stopped. It was like upgrade to Pro, and I was like, wait, what? And then it just it just crashed. So I'm gonna send another link.
Okay.
It, I didn't realize that was gonna happen. I'm gonna.
Do you have any idea to like way to like edit the videos together?
Oh yes, for sure. I do that all the time. Like whether it's a be right back screen or it's like something random happens, like I'll always be able to figure that out. I can have some cohesion here. I just did not I was not expecting that. It was just like, bye.
Oh, I know. I was like, what did I do?
Okay, so I can send the new link. Hopefully it won't cancel out before we're done talking about the summit. How dare you, Zoom? And then passcode. Uh, I saw it and I was like, what do I even do? What do I even do? Okay.
Okay, let's get back on it. All right.
Yes, absolutely. All right, bye. Oh gosh, that was not, that was crazy. That was gallery. How do I go full screen again? Uh, all right. Welcome,
Okay,
welcome
it
back.
worked.
Welcome back to the call. I'm trying to go. I don't know. I don't know that. Why is that even a feature? That's just so evil. Um, all right, we should be good. Okay. So
Okay.
you were saying before we were so rudely interrupted by Zoom asking for me to pay them
Okay.
money.
At least I remember what I was talking about. I
Yes,
was in the
go.
middle talking about our public speaking workshop and how
Yes.
the only thing I'm uncomfortable with is eye contact, because even when I'm just talking to someone one on one, I really try to keep eye contact with people, but sometimes I'm too focused on trying to keep the eye contact. I forget what they're saying, and then they ask me a question, and I'm just like,
What?
"What? Say that again?" And
Uh,
I realize that I do that, and sometimes I'll even tell people, I'll be like, especially people I know that just hold eye contact, like just stare you dead in your soul, and
yeah.
I'm just like, I'll be like, I'm gonna be like, I try to hold eye contact with people, but honestly, sometimes I end up focusing too much on that and I don't listen to what you're saying. So
Mhm.
if I look away, I'm not disinterested. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm just trying to like focus, especially if I care about what you're saying. So
Yeah. I'm
I'll
like
just stare at someone random.
I'm like the exact opposite. The one of the benefits of YouTube is that you're constantly making sure you're staring into the lens of the camera so you
Hmm.
people know you're talking to them. I've been doing that for so long that I'll just naturally just stare directly into someone's soul when I'm talking to them. Even if they're like looking some other way, I'll just like try to follow their eyes.
You're
And
like, hello.
you're like I'm over here now. But um that's definitely a pro of like there's actually something to be said about kids doing YouTube like and as they're developing. I feel like there's actually some benefits. There's also some negatives, like I don't know when to shut up. I talk too much, a lot. I talk very I I don't really know when to stop talking. That's something that happens a lot, but public speaking is also a great benefit. Like that skill is marginally to severely improved by just talking into a camera, especially when you have moderate success with comments and people reacting. Like that definitely helped me, especially with the summit. Like I was just like there was the one tall British guy who was awesome in the blue jacket. I was just like I got to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is awesome, and he was a doer as well. So in the public speaking workshop, after you got your assignment of whatever you were, they put you in groups with those people that had the same whatever thing on your lanyard, and you got to talk to them, and your whole goal was basically to, well, at first it was like find someone random and talk about your favorite trip or whatever, and then it was also I don't even know what we were talking about with our similar people, but I got to talk to the tall British guy, and I thought he was pretty cool. Tall British guy, if you're
Mm.
watching this, thank you for being so cool. Um, but yeah, I think that the power of public speaking and like delivery and emphaticism and that kind of stuff is very valuable. Like it's a good persuasion technique, and it's healthier than propaganda usually. So
Hmm.
um, I don't know. I feel like that was beneficial, and I'm glad that they made it like you had to do it, even if some people weren't comfortable doing it. I feel like that was better than people just not getting that experience and then going up on stage and freaking out. So at least they had some conditioning before the top 10.
I do like how they said to speak slower because I feel like, especially when we're all of us at some point when we're on stage, we talk really fast just to get it over with because we're nervous. The adrenaline is pumping through our veins, and so we just start talking a lot faster than we normally do. And it's really easy to lose someone's attention when you're doing that because they're tired of trying to like keep up with you, and then they just kind of zone out. I know I've done that, especially with people who talk too fast in class. So I think it was very helpful where they're like, just slow down, think through all of your words, and especially don't use filler words like or
Yeah.
because it's very annoying to hear. And
It,
when there are pauses in your speech, people digest what you're saying. So
yeah. And it's if you have a topic that's complicated and you can't fully formulate it in one sentence, in one breath, it's not like a sign that you're bad at public speaking. It just means that you need to take pauses, like I just did there, to not say in order to articulate it in a way that's developed and and not too all over the place. It's not like a Scooby-Doo episode where Shaggy will just say like all over every single sentence he says.
and then Velma puts the like rubber band on his hand, so every time he says like, she snaps it.
Not the healthiest
I
way
remember
to
that.
solve that, but it's it's common, especially with millennials and Gen Z, to just say stuff like have those filler words. I just did it there. Have filler words because we're not fully comfortable with trying to communicate stuff
Silence
like that.
or silence.
Yeah.
But also, if you're taking pauses in your speech, it shows people that you really care about what you're saying and that you're thinking about it instead of just rambling on and on and on, trying to get like motor mouth, you know?
And then maybe
So
they'll think about it, and then you've communicated successfully.
exactly. So that's one thing I did learn from that public speaking workshop that I will definitely use later because I never even thought about that. And I just did it then. But it's like I'm trying to think about the order of events because I get stuck on one thing. So we did that, and then let's talk about the food at the summit. I was very impressed, honestly. I was very happy with the food. Even though it was not authentic European food, I liked the variety because I feel like anybody could eat whatever, like, there wasn't one thing there that, you know, everyone was able to eat something, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There were sometimes I would walk through the line and see some ridiculous concoction in these cooking trays, and I was like, I guess I'll try that, because one of the members from the other group that we met up with, he said to me, I never understood picky eating, and just like ate something ridiculous like that I would never try, until I heard that and thought maybe it's just you can try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least try it, because as long as it's free, you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for not liking it.
It's free.
Yes, even though,
Free.
oh, that trip, probably the worst part about the trip was how expensive it was. Like,
Oh yeah.
at least I'm not even comfortable with talking about how much money that was. That's just so much that we had to
No.
spend just for them to ask for more money for tips. At least for my group, that's what they did. They asked for like $150 in tips for per person, and I was like, what are you using this
I mean,
money
I
for?
I get it
I get
because that's how
like
they get paid, but
I just couldn't I couldn't I I didn't
it's like
understand.
okay, you made me spend this much money and now you're asking for more. It's like it's frustrating. I agree.
Even though
Um,
it's hard to, that's one of the jobs where it's fun, but you do have to demand a lot for traveling for your own sake to be a tour guide in a foreign country. That's, I can understand to a certain extent asking for more money than usual, but it was a lot. And they got a lot from us, like my 9 people in my group. So I don't know where all that money went, but it
you only
was,
had 9 people in your group?
yeah, there was 9 in my group, 2 teachers, and then in the other group we met up with there was 11 and 2 teachers. So then we had 20 in total. Whenever we would count up, it would be 20 kids,
Oh
because
my
we didn't
goodness.
want to lose anybody on the subways. But if we did lose them, their instructions were just to get off at the next stop and wait, and we would go find them, instead of like freaking out and trying to ride all the way around or something. I thought I would
Yeah.
just like live on the train or something, or try to pretend to be a conductor and just live out my life in Berlin, and then nobody would stop me. Like, nobody would get me off the train. They're too nice there, so they probably wouldn't have stopped me if I stayed on there. But I never got lost on the train, so that was good.
No. I almost got lost once on the train, but that was because my group got combined with a group from Georgia and we traveled everywhere with them until we parted in the end in Norway. And all of us in total was like 50 people. I kid you not. It was so many.
50. Ooh.
Yeah, it was annoying, but honestly, I never talked to anybody from the Georgia group. Not because they weren't nice, but just I already had like a friend group going
You
in
already
my
connected with all
Virginia
these
group.
people from when you were already traveling.
Yeah, because I only actually knew like maybe 4 people, and I was only close with 2 of them initially. So my social battery already was tested to the max on this trip, but I do not regret it at all. Even though I came home exhausted and my mom was like wanting to talk to me and everything, I'm like, Mother, I love you so much,
Let me
but
sleep.
I really need some alone time because I kid you not, I think it was maybe 3 days. We had 3 days left of the trip. And there was this everything anybody was telling me, I was just so annoyed. I don't know what it was. I just like I would just get frustrated. I really needed alone time, but I'm like, I only have 3 more days left with these people. I should spend time with them. And because my friend Kate, she was like, Ava, what's wrong? You seem off, you seem angry. And I'm like, well, because I am angry. And then she told me, she's like, okay, is it because we reached the sibling stage? And I'm like, oh, you're right. Everyone's reached the annoying sibling stage. We're all annoying siblings. You know what? And
Uh,
when I thought about it like that, it made it less frustrating because it was like we were all siblings because we were all hang out all the time. It was we got so close in such a short amount of time, and we still have a WhatsApp group chat that we
yeah.
talk in, and but they talk so much in that group chat. I came back, I left for 30 minutes to go do something, and I came back and I had 1,600 unread text messages from that one group chat, and I was like,
1,600?
it was like, I am not reading this back because normally I'll scroll back to the top and like read down and all the way to the end, and I'm just like, I can't. I literally I am not reading 1,600 text
A
messages.
whole five body paragraph essay right there. That's crazy.
Yes. But apparently this one guy in our group went to H Mart and like bought everyone ramen and then was delivering it to their houses. And I was like, I missed out on that because I didn't read through the 1,600 text messages.
Mm,
But honestly, it's fine. I can get my own ramen. You know what? I can deliver it to my own house. But
yeah. I
um
had a stronger connection with the group, which was from Colorado, I think, than my actual group. Like there was Milo and Hans, and then there was Hendrix. He's a grade above me, and he does track with me. That's how I knew him, and I got to know him the 8 months I've been doing indoor and outdoor track before the trip.
what's his name?
Hendrix.
Hendrix. Okay. Like
So
Jimi Hendrix.
yeah, and then I think somebody else was like, "Why did your parents name you after Jimi Hendrix?" And he was like, "I don't know. I don't even know if that was the motivation, but if it was, that's kind of cool." But
Yeah.
he was mainly the leader of our group of four that we would go around with because we didn't really connect with the other three, Lewis, Marley, and Lucy. And then there was also Holden and Jonah. Jonah and Holden they were more interested in talking to us. So Holden was in my grade, and my dad actually knows him from coaching him in baseball, but um, he didn't he didn't seem that interested in talking to me, which was fine. But then, like I kid you not, I know I said already that Hans and Milo would just argue back and forth, but as soon as we were allowed on our own, Milo would say one thing and Hans would just berate him with, "No, that's wrong, blah, blah, blah." Milo would be like, "No, that's right, blah, blah, blah." It was like, it probably happened for a whole hour at one point, and Hendrix, he just decided, I'm gonna walk forward, you guys deal with this. I don't, and I kind of wanted to join him, but we weren't really allowed to be, after some people, I guess, got lost partway through Berlin, we had to stay in groups of three, but they never really yelled at us for being in groups of two, so I could have probably went with him. But I was just stuck with these two incredibly intelligent, incredibly stubborn teenagers just arguing about anything that they could argue about. And I was like, I'm so glad I don't argue with my parents anymore. Like, especially like my dad he's just me, but taller. Um, he's older, so he's got more. I'm basically him. Like I'm a carbon copy of him physically. Like this is what they looked like. Me and my dad and my uncle looked like in high school. This is what they look like. Just what I look like. But besides the hair, I got my mother's hair. My brother got the ethnic hair because my dad is black. But like he's very stubborn, and that's where I get it from. But it's to the extent where even if I might be right about something, I need to do it his way. So I've reached a point where I just can't argue with him anymore, and I love him, and he's very hardworking, very determined, and very stubborn when it matters, but also when it doesn't. And it just I can't put in the energy anymore. So then I see Hans and Milo do this, I'm like, oh, please make it stop. But usually it takes a lot to get me really upset or angry. Like I'm very easygoing usually, but this was just for
I can
some
see
reason
that.
it was just so unnecessary. And it was like the whole time we were together, it was at a certain point where I was like, all right, I'm gonna go with the other group because even though I know them way less than you guys, it's probably a better experience. I didn't say that to him because that would have been really mean and I would have apologized immediately, but um that's what I was thinking. So then when we went to TK Maxx, which was the off-brand TJ Maxx in Berlin, where I got my vest that I wore for the entire summit that Ava and the group got to enjoy for 3 days. Um,
Low
that's
key, dude, I thought you were like Hispanic because you wore that. And then you said you were half black, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
never mind.
it's common because I'm not. the blackest black person, but when I get tan, I get pretty tan. My mom, she's all Northern European, but she's more tan than me. So she's like, she's very lucky with that. She also spends a lot of time outside, so that probably helps. But that's around the area where I spent time with the other group, and they were watch shopping, and they actually bought some watches that were, I mean, to me, it's just like a watch. Like I have an Apple Watch. It's like maybe 100, $200. I'm content with that. But they wanted like these maxed out, precise analog watches. I was like, okay, that's cool. And because I'm not a very materialistic guy, like I could probably ditch 95% of what's in this room and just live off of food and water and probably be content with what I have. And that took a long time, a lot of reflection because I used to be very focused on getting the next thing and I was never really content. And I'm glad that I've reached that point because it's just so much more freeing to be able to just have what I have now and not need, even though we never really need it, basically really want anything that much anymore. So when I saw
Mm,
people buying watches, it was mainly just for like they thought it looked good and they wanted to feel good. And I can understand the value of that to a lot of people. Like sometimes having something expensive like that can make people feel better, make them feel like maybe it boosts their confidence a little bit. Um, so I was just watching them do that, watching them buy watches the whole time instead of spending time with Hans and Milo. And they're both great when they're not together, but when they're in the same group, they cause me a lot of mental pain, just
yeah,
mental stress because of how much they just blah 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 blabbermouth to each other
yeah,
every time. So I mean, I don't know. Berlin overall, I feel like it was not what I was expecting, not really what anybody was
yeah.
expecting. The summit was fantastic. Could have been a little longer.
I was so happy with that.
They could have just made it a little longer so it didn't just go final presentations, top 10, silent disco. All right, bye. Like that was
Yeah, I
it.
wish I had more time to spend with you guys. It felt like so quickly. It was just like we just met each other, and then I'm saying goodbye to you, and you're on your way back to Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
or whatever, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So how was like the rest of Germany? I don't really have the same experience with that. The most experience I have with the rest of Germany is my eighth grade German teacher who was the goat. Shout out Mr. Stain, I love you. Um, but I've never really been to Germany besides Berlin. So what was the whole like where did all of you guys go like the whole time?
So we went to Hamburg, which I think I had told you about. It was really pretty,
Yeah.
definitely a lot prettier than Berlin. We only spent a one night there, I think, though, so I didn't really get the whole like I can't really have an opinion on it.
Hmm.
But from what I experienced, it was very cool. It was very very interesting. And the hotel room was probably the worst hotel room I've ever been in, but it's
Really?
okay. Yeah, it was the worst hotel room for several reasons. One, for some reason, air conditioning just doesn't exist anywhere in Europe. It's all American. Like none of the rooms I were in, none of the rooms I was in had AC, or they did, but it wasn't working.
Mm.
So we opened all the windows. It was still really hot in there. And then I was with people in my group that I was with three other girls in a room. So it was four people in this tiny ass room. And there were two across. So there was two beds on one side and then another bed, two beds on the other side. And the girls on the other side of the room were like really loud the entire time, snapping their friends and like making
Uh,
like TikToks. And I'm not against people making TikToks at all because they're actually really fun. I love making those little short videos like that.
hmm.
But at 11:30 in the at night, I would like to sleep.
Yeah.
I would like to sleep. So I didn't really get much sleep in, but we went from I remember because the day after that, we went to Lubeck in Germany, which is like apparently Lubeck means like love or
Hmm.
something, so city of love. and it was 2 hour blocks of riding on that bus. And every 2 hours, I was asleep the entire time. I don't know what it was, but I was asleep the entire time. Lubeck was very interesting. It was kind of like it. It literally was like another part of Hamburg. It almost looked the exact same. Um, they were famous apparently for their marzipan, which is like a nut paste, I think, like a bunch of different like mixed nuts. But I was with people in my group who were like allergic to everything under the sun, so of course they couldn't go in there.
Mhm.
And so I didn't get to try it. And then I'm trying to think of something else that happened. Oh, we also went into a TK Maxx there to look for a bathroom, which, by the way, public restrooms don't exist in Europe either, or you have to pay for them.
Yeah, the that part is true. The
I remember in Hamburg, I had to pay for a public restroom. I almost burnt the place down. I was like, no way you're charging me $2 to use the toilet right now.
Yeah, there was every opportunity I had to use a bathroom. There were only like a few where it was free. Like I went into a McDonald's that had two floors. They're like the bathroom's upstairs. I went in there and there was a lady standing by the doors like, "Pay me, please." And I didn't have any physical cash on me, so I was like, "All right, I guess I gotta hold it for the next however many hours." It wasn't even like I had to go
Oh,
that bad, but I just felt like going up, and I was like, "I don't have to go that bad." The
yeah.
but then the funniest part to me was the stuff we were asked to pack by the teacher that was taking us. I mean, nothing against her, but the things that she asked us to take, we didn't ever use. She was like, "Bring toilet paper for the public bathrooms." And I was like,
Bruh.
"No, no,
What?
I know that you may have to pay to use the bathrooms there, but there's no way that they don't have toilet paper if you have to pay to use the bathroom." So I brought a roll of toilet paper and I only used it for tissues when it got cold. Like I don't I don't know why that would have ever been necessary
That's interesting.
in Europe. I mean, in Iceland too, the bathrooms had toilet paper. So it's not like we're visiting some third world country that doesn't have access to those things. But I mean, the bathroom, I can understand having to pay to use the restroom because it's an alternate form of that's a way to make money for a business if they don't have
Yeah.
as much whatever. Like if someone needs to use a bathroom and they just need to go quick, they can use their bathroom and pay them. But I feel like it doesn't need to be that expensive. Like it could probably be like €1. I feel like a lot of people have that available. I didn't have actual
Yeah.
cash, but if I did, I probably would have had that kind of change. But I don't know.
Hmm.
I didn't have an experience with paying for it and then going in. I had an experience with almost going in, then having to pay for it, and then backing out, last just not wanting to go in there. So that just seems
Yeah.
like it's a completely different thing from America, where you could probably use a bathroom anywhere and nobody would really fault you for it.
Yeah, there's bathrooms like if you walk into the nearest like 7-Eleven or whatever, there's a bathroom, or a gas station, there's a bathroom, and a restaurant. Even if you're not buying anything, you can use the
Yeah,
bathroom.
a
And
lot of places too. There's porta potties, which
yeah,
aren't the most sanitary things, but they are free to use, and they're in a lot of public places and parks and on roads. Like it's in stark contrast to Europe's um, more questionable way of using their bathrooms.
yes, I agree. And like even I remember we stopped in a gas station in the middle of nowhere on the way to Lubeck. There was not a bathroom in that gas station, and I was so confused. I was like, do people in Europe just not go to the bathroom? Also, do they just not drink water? I can't tell you how much money I spent on water because there's no water fountains. There's like
Yeah.
everywhere you get water, you have to pay unless you go to Starbucks. And only select Starbucks that I went to where I asked just for a cup of water, they would give it to me for free.
The only place that I saw like a water fountain was at the airport. They had like a place that actually where you could fill up your water bottle, which I used before we went out and went back in or whatever. I didn't really see any water fountains. I thought that was strange, but I can also understand like there was more stuff with COVID in Europe that probably didn't allow that than because in America,
Mhm.
sure, we had problems, but that was really where it started was in Europe and Asia and across the oceans. So I guess if that wasn't common before, it wasn't common after COVID.
Yeah, I I agree. I mean, we survived obviously, but it really messed up how I function because I drink out of this really big. I don't think I have it up here, but I drink out of this really big water bottle, and I got like it was almost like I was dehydrated the entire time. So um if you ever go to Europe, bring a big water bottle so you don't have to fill it up.
Yeah. Leave it empty when you go on the plane,
Um,
and then when you get in there, you just fill it up, and you have probably a full day's water. Speaking of water bottles, I know you're talking about yours was like what, 160 something ounces?
mhm.
I have a 128-ounce water bottle right here. That's
Oh my gosh, yours
it's
is tall.
yeah. I didn't want short and fat because it wouldn't fit in my backpack, and I've broken a couple
Mine's short and
backpacks.
fat.
Um, and it turns out that the top kind of broke because I had it in a backpack at school, sitting on a desk, and it just went and hit face first on the ground. Um, so I tried to order another one of these, and every single one of them showed up with the straw. Just imagine like an entire casing around this, so you can only see this button. Then this would come out like that. Like you could see this little
Uh,
piece that's supposed to supposed to lock into a mechanism. So for some reason they just couldn't ship it right. It would always show up damaged. But that led me to get the 64-ounce one that I've been sipping on the whole episode that is
mm,
actually very good insulation. It keeps things cold for 24 hours and hot things hot for 12. So if I ever
mm.
like need to go somewhere really hot, I'll be good. But Pittsburgh is just mildly warmer than usual because of our steel burning tendencies back in the 1900s.
Yeah, speaking of the weather, we were gone when there was like a 104-degree heat wave down in Virginia, and I was so glad because I hate the heat. I'm gonna say I know it's like you can never actually hate something. I hate the heat. I hate the heat. It's terrible. I just I was raised in Colorado. I was born in Alaska, lived in Alaska for a while. I do not like heat. So I'm really glad we missed that. Um and then so I was dehydrated the whole trip. And then we went from Lubeck to Copenhagen, which my favorite city we went to by far. I loved Copenhagen. Cannot tell you why, other than it was beautiful and I loved the vibe of the people there. Everyone was so nice
Yeah,
and it was just it was amazing. I would definitely go back there any day of the week.
yeah.
Um I did get this keychain from there though, because up until this point, I had never really bought any souvenirs because I was always worried about spending too much money. Even though I saved $1,000 for this trip,
Yeah.
I was too worried about spending too much money. But I got this keychain, and it's their soccer team actually. That's what the logo is.
Hmm.
And we were trying to come up with a name for him. And I said he looks really disheveled, so we should name him something like Ratchety or whatever.
You could probably
But
call him like Shaggy or
Shaggy,
Raggy or something like that.
Reggie.
All I got
Yeah.
was this mug that says Iceland on it. It's got the little, it's flipped, but it's
Oh,
got
it's
the puffin on it. And then
yeah.
I got my mom and my stepmom both some jewelry. My stepmom because it was her birthday while I was gone, and then I got my mom this nice. She loves orange, so I got this nice necklace with this orange gem at the bottom. It probably wasn't like some real gem, but it did look nice, and she liked it. So I was glad that I actually thought of that because sometimes it not for a lack of caring for somebody, but sometimes I'm just not thinking about it. I'll just forget like people's birthdays or people's like just events like that. So the fact that I remembered it while we were in a souvenir shop, I was like, okay, I gotta get something here. And then the only other thing I bought besides that and the other stuff was the vest that I wore to the summit, and that was probably the most expensive thing I've ever bought from a like anything besides like Amazon. Like buying a, it was nearly 100 euros just for a actually a very nice looking vest, but I didn't have like there wasn't a good matching suit that fit me or that I could afford, so I just wore the vest. And um yeah, I didn't think I was going to spend that much. I was like, all right, I'm not going to spend any more, and then I spent some more, and then I was done after that. But it's telling me now. I'm going to let you know that says remaining meeting time 9 minutes and 40 seconds. So um if not like to rush you, but if you could summarize. I don't know how much else, what else happened, but we have 9 minutes, just so you know,
Okay.
before it crashes again.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump. We went to Copenhagen and then we took a bus to Sweden to go
Ooh,
to the disgusting food museum,
ooh,
which was so gross. I guess if you ever want to go just to like say you went, go ahead. But if you think you're gonna throw up, don't go. It smells terrible. They had a bunch of disgusting foods laid out, and then there was stations where you would look at it and you could learn about that food. You could smell the food, which was honestly the worst part. And then you could taste a bunch of different ones. There was actually a disgusting bingo
ooh.
where you could try everything on there and then you could get a free t-shirt. I was not about to do that. Mm-mm. I tried about five things. They had like classic gross foods like crickets, ants. They had this caramelized cream cheese, which was not really gross, but it was just very off-putting in a type of like weird way that made me gag.
Yeah.
And then they had stink bugs, which I did try, which was disgusting. And then they had century eggs, sauerkraut juice, which was I didn't try that.
Mm.
And then they had a bunch of other different things. And then the last section was I think it was six different hot sauces, all ranging a level from 1 to 10. One was already super spicy, and the last one you had to be 18 and get a waiver to try. So
Mm.
I was like, I'm gonna try all of the hot sauces that I can up to number five because I'm not 18 yet.
Right.
Um, and I tried up to two and then I dropped out. I said, nah, because I was crying, like profusely crying. I couldn't feel anything on my face.
Oh,
It was burning. It was terrible. And then, of course, we all went to get ice cream afterward because everybody tried the hot sauce. It was terrible. I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. I know I'm like a fourth Korean, but I cannot handle that spice. This is not. It was terrible.
yeah. That's
Um, Very interesting museum though. I say if you ever, like I said, if you ever have the chance to go, I would go. Just don't eat before. I'm so glad we did not eat before. So we that was the only time when we were in Sweden. And then when we went back to Copenhagen, we got on a ferry to go to Oslo, which was overnight. That was really cool. Um, we actually went clubbing again in the ferry, which was really fun. But my group, God bless them, but they wanted to stay up all night. And because I love them, I stayed up all night with them.
oh,
We stayed up till like 1 a.m. So not all night. And then they wanted to get up to watch the sunrise. And the sunrise is there, it comes up really early. So we got up at 4:30. We're like, we're gonna catch this. We got up at 4:30, went to the top of the deck. It was already over. The sun had already risen. And we were like, no way, we just woke up at 4:30. And there was another group that was like, they were like, "Oh yeah, you guys missed it." And we're like, "When did you get here?" And they said, "We got here at 3 in the morning." And we're like, "Okay, you know what? Just
get out of
step
here.
over
Get out of
there."
here.
Yeah, exactly. It was so pretty, but it was just kind of frustrating that we got up early and just didn't get to see it. But
Yeah.
it was fine. Oslo was not what I thought it was going to be at all. It was very modern. It was a huge sailing area, like a lot of boats, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, There were actually some mountains there. That was pretty cool. And then we went to a beach. The very last day we went to a beach that was about 20 minutes away from the hotel. And it was so much fun. I really didn't want to go because everybody wanted to again pull an all-nighter, which I ended up pulling the all-nighter with them, and then going on the plane for 9 hours,
Oh,
which honestly was fine because that's when I slept. But it was it was still like I love you guys when I stay up this long because I had never really pulled an all-nighter before. So
yeah. At least you got some
it
sleep on the
was,
plane.
oh yeah. But I mean, there was also no AC on the plane. So I was like,
Yikes.
it's all right. But trip was amazing. I told my mom I would never travel like that again, at least with a group like that.
Yeah.
I would want to do it myself or maybe with two other people. Maybe. But
Yeah. I would, I mean,
so,
I know as soon as I'm done with high school and college, I get whatever degree, just so I have a degree in case I ever need a job. I don't want to be in one place. Like I want to spend a solid 3 to 5 years just going from place to place.
Join the military, become a pilot with me.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm fit for that, but I mean that doesn't seem like a bad idea. That definitely couldn't go wrong. Um, I don't know. I just I want I want to experience things because after this trip I was like, man, I have really not been very many places. I've been some pretty interesting places like Canada, Costa Rica. I traveled across the entire West Coast during COVID. Went to Germany and Iceland. That was probably my favorite trip ever, and it's the most recent as well. So I don't want to be in one place when I graduate. I just want to
Yeah, me
travel
neither.
on a bike or in a car, just wherever, and meet different people. Maybe have some other crazy individuals join me on the trip, while either at the beginning or at the end or in the middle, and just see what I haven't seen before. Like you can see it in a picture or in a video, but you never really know it until you're there. So
Exactly.
I definitely want to experience a lot of things like that. And if becoming a pilot is the best way to do that, I might have to consider flight school. I don't know. That might have to be what
It's also
happens.
just the thrill of the ride, bro. Especially if you become a fighter pilot.
Hmm.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we finish with 3 minutes to spare, which is fantastic.
Hey, my yapper self condensed it.
Ava came in clutch with the best parts of her trip. Um, yeah, that overall, I think that we're very lucky to have the opportunity to even go on this trip. It wasn't even like I didn't even get the information for it from the school. I got it from my best friend's mom, who said my mom, "Hey, don't you know about this trip?" And she didn't. So then when she sent all the information, she asked me if I wanted to go, and I just said yes. And I'm glad
Like,
I
duh.
did. I'm glad I did because usually I kind of think about things, but up until that point, I finally started realizing that I think too much, and I'd much rather think about things that actually could matter, like something important, versus just going on a trip that's probably not going to involve me getting hurt or someone else getting hurt. It's just going to be fun. So when I said yes, she was surprised, but then uh, I just I made a bunch of memories I'll probably never forget, including with you. It was great just
Yeah.
interacting with everybody in the group and some of the stuff we talked about that'll say between me and Ava um, after the silent disco. I mean, that stuff was that was deep. So thank you, Ava, for being the first guest ever on Occasionally Explicit. It's an honor. There's been
It's so much fun.
it's
I
been
love
like
this.
it's been like probably a year since since the whole podcast started, and I mean we're doing one once a month now. It used to be once every week, but then I didn't have enough time to get questions. But I feel like it's worth doing it once a month just to have a guest. So thank you for spending your time on the podcast. It was fun talking to you not only after the trip and not seeing you for a bit, but also as a guest and getting some ideas for how this could work next time. So I can either buy Zoom Pro so I can have a longer call, or just doing Discord or
Or
something
maybe I could
else.
just join Discord.
Yeah.
I could
Or
them.
I just have people come over to my house and we sit at this table back here or something. I don't know. If people are closer to me, proximity wise, that would be good. But it says I have less than a minute. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. And also, we stream these live every month on YouTube, my channel. And as always, we will see every single one of you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye.